Hello and welcome to this video. My name is Linus Kiramat, one of the Kenya Airlift Program GMAT trainers. In this video, we're going to focus on the use of the words if and whether. Starting out with the use of the word if. So if starts as a submoting clause or a modifier, or otherwise called a dependent clause of a conditional sentence. So by definition, a conditional sentence is a sentence that states a relationship between cause and effect. So it will give you a cause for a reason, or a reason as to why something is happening, and the effect of the causes that were given. Or a conditional sentence will refer to a sentence that makes a prediction of an event or action. Or thirdly, the sentence could speculate about what might or might not happen. So the if clause states what must occur before something else, which is stated in the independent clause. So it will give reason as to why the independent clause exists or why the independent clause happens. So if can be placed at the beginning or end of a conditional sentence, just depending on the intended meaning or the meaning that is being conveyed. So for example, if he does not appear, we will go and search for him. So if is the conditional. If he does not appear, we will go and search for him. And this we can tell is the dependent clause, right? And this the independent clause. So notice the use of if here. So it's dependent on whether this guy appears that we will go and search for him. All right. Secondly, we have just a different placement of the word if, but conveying similar meaning. Right. We will search for him if he does not appear. The independent clause of a conditional sentence may begin with the adverb then. However, in some cases, it is not necessary. It is not a necessary condition. The use of then is used to emphasize a relation between cause and effect. So, for example, if the economy does well, then we will receive a pay increase. So, this the use of if and then here. So, if conditional that the economy does well, then our subject will receive a pay increase. So it you see the use of then here will emphasize the relation between these this cause of the economy doing well and the effect of our subject receiving a pay increase, right? Then let's look at the use of whether. Whether is a conjunction that usually starts a subordinate clause or a dependent clause that expresses an indirect question involving two stated or implied possibilities or alternatives. So more often that would be either a yes or no question. So whether we will use it to tell or convey meaning that something is in the positive or in the negative. So for example, whether a person smokes influences the chances of getting heart disease. So whether here could be yes or no. So yes, if the person smokes, the chances of getting heart disease increases. But if no, if the person does not smoke, chances of getting heart disease are quite low. Right? Hope that's clear. Then whether is usually followed by or in construction of statements with two or alternatives or possibilities. So for example, I was pondering whether to accept or to deny the invitation. So the two alternatives or possibilities here are to accept or to deny. So whether is used with or to show construction or to construct this sentence that shows two possibilities that are available to our subject, and so the two possibilities to accept or to deny, the object being the invitation. All right, I hope that's clear. Whether or not, as most of us use in daily construction or use of the English language, is generally not acceptable in GMAT. The inclusion of these words makes a sentence become too wordy, or otherwise we could say that such a grammatical construction that uses or not is redundant. All right. So, for example, his appointment depends on whether or not he qualifies. This is wrong because whether itself gives us the two possibilities, yes or no, the positive or the negative. So inclusion of or not is creates a form of redundancy, right? So the correct way to use it or to construct this sentence would be: his appointment depends on whether he qualifies. Whether, as I've informed you, stands for whether, the possibility of him being qualified or the possibility of him not qualified, all right? So that possibility will depend on his appointment, right? So pause the video, try out this example, then we'll discuss. So our example reads: if current trends continue, by the year 2010, carbon emissions in the United States will soar to a level more than one-third higher than were those in 1990, according to official projections. So our example here, we can already see the use of if, and just remember that if is used in the conditional mood, all right? So if current trends continue, by the year 2010, carbon emissions in the United States will soar to a level more than one-third higher than were those in 1990, according to official projections. So we can already tell this sentence is in the present tense, but is talking about or is referring to a future date, that is by the year 2010. So remember, the use of if in the present conditional mood should be followed by will. So you can scan through your answer choices and see and look out for answer choices that do not use the word will. All right? A uses will, that's correct. B uses will, correct. Would is in the second conditional, that is, if we could be describing about this event occurring and we were describing this event occurring from the past, then we could have used the second conditional. Then the second conditional requires that you use the word would. So, but since we are in the present referring to the future, the use of would is incorrect. So all these answer choices are that use the word or start out with the word would are incorrect. So can easily eliminate C, D, and E, right? Then let's scan through A and B to see to look out for any other grammatical construction that is not correct. So A says A is definitely a repetition of the underlined section of this sentence. So let's reread our sentence. If current trends continue, by the year 2010, carbon emissions in the United States will soar to a level more than one-third higher than were those in 1990. We can already tell that there is some incorrect construction here. What those is kind of creates some ambiguity, and it's also redundant. So we can tell from that reason, A being similar to what has been underlined, we can eliminate A because you can be cannot refer to occurrence or emissions in 1990 by including this or those. It creates some form of ambiguity, and it lacks some concision or opens up to a lot of questions as to what those is referring to. Let's look at B. Will soar to a level more than one-third higher than that in 1990, according to official projections. This is correct because that being referring to emissions, this carbon emission. So there's some sort of clarity in meaning, right? And we already know that that would refer to the carbon emissions in the United States in 1990, right? So for that reason, B is the correct answer.
You're watching Success with Bob Mwiti Show, presented to you by Upstech America. Upstech America is a consulting company that helps immigrants find amazing higher education and job opportunities in the tech industry in the United States. You can find our programs by going to www.upstechamerica.com. Upstech America, we wake you up to the unlimited potential.
Let's look at our second example. We can also pause the video, attempt it on your own, then we try together. So our sentence reads, whether they will scale back their orders to pre-2 or 3 levels or stop doing business with us altogether depends on whether the changes that their management has proposed will be fully implemented. Right? We can see the use of whether or, then again depends on whether. So whether is used 3 times, or is 3 times in this sentence. Though this part of the initial of this segment of the sentence doesn't repeat whether because it becomes redundant. So remember, whether is used in pairs with or. So whether they will scale back their orders to 2 or 3 levels, right? So there's a possibility of them scaling back to 2 or 3 levels, or there's likelihood that they will not scale back to their 2 or 3 levels, right? Or stop doing business with us altogether, right? So again, this is some kind of possibilities or alternatives. They could stop doing business with us altogether, or they could continue doing business with us altogether, right? Depends on whether. Right? Remember, depends on is usually used in construction or in pairs with whether. So it depends on whether the changes that the management has proposed will be fully implemented. I hope that's clear. We sort of understood what is being communicated. And from actually the underline section, it is difficult to see if there's any error. So let's scan through because we can already tell that this sentence has been constructed correctly, right? Let's scan through the other 4 answer choices and see if there is one that could be better than what is already underlined. Let's look at B. B says whether they scale back their orders to pre-2 or 3 levels or whether they discontinue their business with us altogether depends on the changes the management has proposed, if fully implemented or not. Okay, we can already tell, or we can already see a number of errors in this sentence. So whether is used at the beginning of this sentence, then after or. This is the incorrect use of whether. You can only use it once if you use whether initially, or after the or, you just continue with the sentence without repeating the word whether. So already that disqualifies this answer choice. We can also go further and examine the answer choice. We can see that if is used, this is the incorrect use of if, or not, again, as we have discussed earlier, is redundant in this case. So eliminate B. C says they are either scaling back their orders in the future to 2 or 3 levels, or their outright termination of business with us depends on their management proposed changes being fully implemented or not. Reading through this answer choice, we already getting confused. We are not able to decipher meaning, and there is a lot of errors that you can already note from this answer choice. Like for example, the use of future. The use of future here is not clear why future is used here. Right? Again, the commas here will confuse you as to what this part of this, as to what or whether these 3 sentence fragments that are lumped up together. Again, the use of or not is redundant, right? So eliminate C. D says whether they will scale back their orders to pre 2 or 3 levels or stop doing business altogether with us. Stop doing business with us altogether depends if the changes that the management has proposed become fully implemented. We can already tell from this answer choice that if is used already. If is used in the conditional mood, and the conditional mood does not apply to a case. So this is the incorrect use of the word if. So for that reason, eliminate D. E says we will either scale back their orders to 2 or 3 levels, or they will continue doing business with us altogether, dependent on whether the changes their management has proposed will be fully implemented or not. Already you can tell the use of or not, redundant, incorrect. Alright, again, you don't say dependent on whether, it is depend on whether. So this again is wrong, alright? So for that reason, for those 2 reasons, our answer choice E is wrong. So the correct answer to this question is A, which says whether they will scale back their orders to 2 or 3 levels or stop doing business with us altogether depends on whether the changes that their management has proposed will be fully implemented. All right. So with that, we've come to the end of this video. Kindly join us in our GMAT classes, lessons. We will elaborate this and dwell deeper into other topics. Thank you.